most of it.
Okay, so it's over on the Corolla. So run up those.
Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm here today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
Shalom Aleichem.
I can't remember how to say the response to that. We'll
the
not get
reply,
into Arabic.
what the reply is, yeah.
Anyways, this is kind of interesting. Bill was just pointing out to me that Toyota has decided the K car wasn't small enough.
No, it wasn't.
So we're moving into, what are they calling this?
This is the Mobi.
They got a new AI-driven electric bubble car for kids. Now, this is kind of, I don't know. It's not frightening looking. It looks like something
meant to be.
out of a TV show, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, it's sort of an anime kind of a thing. You know, that's big in Japan, and it looks like that's kind of carried that into the, or the what is it? Is it Korean? The K-pop hunters, demon hunters.
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah, but this is AI driven. You apparently, the kid, there's some little ball things inside. If you notice there on the corner, that little ball inside next to the seat, that allows you to apparently drive it, but then you can just apparently tell it where where to go. So, and then the lights are headlights are like eyeballs.
I'm surprised it's not covered in solar panels.
Well, give them time.
Yeah, they make it go faster, right?
Well, there's the question. This is kind of fun, but how many kids are going to keep this in their driveway, and do they even have driveways in Japan?
Yeah, there you go. Well, this would certainly be great for apartment dwellers that are short. This would be like a small girl's car. There might be an adult. It's only like 5 foot tall. I don't know. I wonder what we've got here for specs on this. Who can fit in this thing?
I don't know if I saw any. I think it was designed for, I guess if you were a small adult, you could probably fit in it, but you would definitely not fit in it. I'm pretty sure.
There's a lot of cars I don't fit in as it is. Let's see.
The thing with Toyota, I need to do a story maybe on the crazy concepts that Toyota has come up with over the years. It is if you pardon the use of the term, plethora.
There you go.
They've had a bunch of them that I'm familiar with. Going back to what they called the Crayon. That was one of their earlier electric concept vehicles for cities, but they've been all over the map on this. I got to give them credit for creativity. They really can be creative.
I mean, they've already got some pretty small cars. That's getting down there. What kind of performance we got? 0 to 60? Yes. No.
No, there's no specs.
There's no 0 to 60.
No.
It probably has.
No speed, no range.
Can it tow?
How many boats can it tow? Yeah, exactly.
That's what we really want to know. Wow, that is really small. That is pretty staggering.
But as you're probably aware, if you follow what's going on with the Tokyo Auto Show, the K car has become a target for a number of different, of course, Toyota and
Nissan.
And Nissan have their K cars, and now you have BYD rolling in with their K car. All of them sort of, I think I refer to that as the battle of the boxes or something like that. So,
yeah, and they all look pretty similar. I mean,
they have to. You got to get maximum space and minimum, maximum interior space and minimum exterior space, and they all kind of end up looking a lot alike.
Yeah, well, look at, I'm sure you've been in a Mini Cooper. The Mini Cooper somehow is far roomier than they appear. I can drive one comfortably with no problem. Actually, I shouldn't say comfortably. So nobody's really comfortable in a Mini Cooper, okay? But it's not an issue of the size. It's the fact that you're basically driving a vehicle with all of the creature comforts of a go-kart. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, there's a reason why the Mini Cooper is the fastest cornering car there is. It's not that fast. It just goes around corners ridiculously quick.
Yeah.
So like just really
tight turning radius on it.
It's great to park. Sure doesn't take, it's easy to fit in a parking spot, but I'm sure these are very similar in that, except probably even a little smaller, but it just keeps getting a little ridiculous as to how small some of these.
Well, again, Japan is a high population, people density per square kilometer or mile or hectare or however you want to measure it. So they want to keep these cars, to a minimum. They're not like wide open spaces here on the plains. So
the BYD is called the Racco, which is the Japanese word for sea otter. When I saw Racco, I'm thinking a raccoon.
Yeah, exactly. That surprised me too when I saw that.
Yeah,
but that is in keeping. They're naming all of their cars after some form of marine life.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to be about $17,000 starting price. It makes it likely candidate for export to Southeast Asia and Europe if it can meet local safety and performance standard.
Yep.
Then you've got the Nissan Sakura, the Honda Super One. It features the Honda is in concept phase. It features a high roof layout, modular seating, and playful digital accents. Export remains unclear. Its design language could influence Honda's next-gen global EVs. Could these boxes cross the Pacific? The United States is not a real great target for really small cars. But
no, the bigger the better. Yeah.
The thing is, people need transportation. There's still a lot of people in the United States can't afford a car. But those people, if they can't afford a car, if they can't afford to go buy a used car, they're certainly not going to be able to afford to buy a new car, right? So that's kind of your problem is those who would, if they were 5 years old out there as a used car, much cheaper, below, they say sub $10,000, there'd be all kinds of people out there to buy them, right? And that's kind of one of the challenges. Cars are just,
it's not just the purchase of the car. It's all the things that go with it. There's the insurance, there's the state, taxes on it, license plates, and road use taxes. There's the fuel, and that fuel could be gasoline or it could be diesel, or in our favored form is electrons. But that costs, it adds to your home electricity bill or your apartment electricity bill, however that's worked out. And then there's just the upkeep and the maintenance. And where do you put it? Put it on the street? You need a garage?
Well, we've talked about here that some news articles have said that the average cost of car ownership in the United States is actually about $1,050 a month. That includes
I believe it.
Buying the car, maintaining the car, fueling it, insuring it, paying all the taxes you got on it, and everything all combined is like $1,050. Well, if you take that on a monthly case, you're talking what, $33, $35 a day. Okay, just for the luxury of being able
convenience
to drive a car.
Of being able to go somewhere you want to go when you want to go.
Yeah, and if you think about
that's
that,
important.
If you work full time but don't make great wages, you might be working 3 hours a day, and that's 3 hours a day
just to pay for the car
every 7 days a week.
Right.
Okay, 7 days a week, 3 hours a day, just to pay for the privilege of driving a car in America.
Yep.
To be an average car owner. Okay, so it's not saying you're driving a cheap car. Let's say you're driving an average car in the United States, and that is that's a pretty big number when you think about that. I mean, you're talking somebody, on low wages having to work 20 hours a week just for the.
Well, case in point is this. The ending of the government, shut down, and government employees not getting, their paychecks regularly and things like that. And now that's causing people, communities to respond with food banks and things of that nature. And I remember back during COVID when we sort of had a similar situation where a lot of people lost their work, and churches and other community groups, set up food lines, things like that. And what always struck me was the fact that all of those people that are lined up in the photos and the videos that I saw, all of them are driving relatively new cars. And they base their investment strategy or their on that, getting that regular paycheck. So I could afford or whatever, a month payment on that car, as well as all the other costs that we've talked about. So you're now talking people that are, we're getting, I don't know, $4,000, $5,000 a month, whatever that would work out to be. What's that, about $60,000 a year, something in that area. They're a quarter of that is being set aside just for the vehicle. And when that thing gets yanked, and you're still stuck with those payments. So yeah, maybe we ought to rethink our transportation system than what we've got today.
Well, one of the things is we've talked a lot about how EVs already on total cost of ownership are cheaper than gas cars. It's just not necessarily in the purchase of them, but that's price parity is starting to occur. Okay, there's some vehicles where there's price parity now.
Yeah.
But that being said, I know I've done math on if somebody bought even a cheaper used car, and they made payments, paid cash, whatever, you could get that $1,000 number down to around $700 if you're paying for insurance,
right.
And you're driving it legally. You're either making a car payment or you have maintenance. Okay. Now, if you don't drive a vehicle much, and we're talking a gas car here, if you don't drive it much, then obviously you're not going to have a lot of maintenance. You're not going to have a lot of gas expense, but you're still going to have insurance. And you had the original purchase of the vehicle, whether, regardless of how you made that make up. But one of the things with some of these, EVs, especially when you can lease some of these, there's some lease deals out there.
Oh, unbelievable.
A lot of lease deals for like $300 a month.
Or less. There's some out there that were even less. They were under $200 a month.
Well, there was some in Colorado that were basically free.
Yeah.
Pretty
narrow market, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a really small market, but there was some opportunity to basically be able to lease a car for free in Colorado. There was some things. It wasn't. You still had to put some money out here and there, but it
free in the sense that you still have to pay for the license fees.
Yeah, there was some things, but it amounted to basically about $100 a month equivalent. But then you figure something like that, you're putting electrons in it, right? You're probably only spending $50 a month on electrons versus a couple $100 for gas, but you still have to insure it. And these, there's still other possible, like we were talking about the taxes, there's still other little things that may come up over time. You still have some expense for maintaining the vehicle, but it's small because you don't have oil changes, but you still have to put in wiper fluid, every 50,000 miles, you got to put a set of tires on it. That's not cheap. There's a lot of things still, to that total cost of ownership. But I think that what's happening is, as you start taking away the cost of gas, and I know we're going to talk about Musk and accidents and stuff like that, but if you could get to the point where all the cars were talking to each other to prevent accidents, okay, then you really significantly bring down the cost of insurance. And if the cars are preventing each other from having accidents, you could cut some of the costs for some of the national traffic safety stuff that has to be implemented, which is a huge cost of a car here in the United States, which we want those, right? We want people to be safe in a car, right? But if there's an alternative way through artificial intelligence and things like that to make a car safer, then it would make sense to cut back on some of those other things. So I think one of the goals here is to bring down that total cost of ownership. on vehicles.
Yeah, and let's talk about the interview with the gentleman from Ogilvy's. I don't know if he still works for them or not, but from the Ogilvy's a large global advertiser, and they had a section that was a unit that was set up to study the what's the word I'm looking for here? Not the philosophy, but people's attitudes and things of that nature. Fascinating interview. I linked it there on the homepage.
Is that about psychology?
The psychology, yeah, that is absolutely fascinating to hear him talk. He said we should be focusing, not on building bigger batteries, but on making people more comfortable and eliminating anxiety. There are ways to do that that doesn't have to necessarily involve more and bigger batteries. And it's really a fascinating interview. I felt it was worth, putting a link to and making it available, because I'd never heard of this guy, the Ogilvy and their psychology unit.
Did you watch Wednesday's interview with Jeremy McCool from Hevo?
No, I haven't yet. I saw that.
Okay.
I haven't yet.
So Jeremy was talking about the fact that forget range anxiety, it's really charging anxiety. And he was talking about one of the things that wireless charging would do. So your main point of failure with charging is payment. Okay, so if you have a standardized system of wireless charging and your vehicle is constantly getting little drips of power, then you're not so concerned about going and charging. If there's lots of places
like that road section there outside of Paris, for example.
Yeah. Although he's talking more about, and we were talking about how do we address multifamily, and he was saying he has some solutions for this, for putting in. His basically uses a small pad that's underneath the asphalt, and the car has he calls it like a medium pizza box size piece on the bottom.
That's the reception antenna.
That receives it, but it receives the energy to charge. He's not talking so much about like a highway you drive down and is charging.
No.
He's talking more about the parking.
Exactly. You sit in front of either your own driveway or in your garage. BMW's has been focused on.
They've worked on
that.
It. Yeah. They haven't really, and he's working with BMW on that. Okay. And so, anyways, it's interesting. That's mostly what he does. Is he goes and he meets with the car manufacturers because he has the technology they need to make it work. And on both parts of it. So anyways, but we'll go on that. So this was Rory Sutherland is the guy that was on the Everything Electric podcast.
Yes.
People don't make transportation decisions based on spreadsheets. They make them based on emotion, habit, and perception. That's why the champions 2-week test drives. He champions 2-week test drives over 2-day demos. You don't change behavior with a brochure; you change it with experience.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's
And you could take and maybe say, I'm going to offer a 2-week thing here. It'll cost you I don't know, $79 or some number, right? And let them test that car and have it for 2 weeks, and they're finding that people, once you drive one, for the most part 85% of where that number is, people don't want to go back to gasoline because it's such a much more pleasant experience. In fact, there's an article about that I posted today of a guy that had a standard ICE F-150 pickup truck. And he drove he went over to a Cybertruck, and he characterizes as going from the Victorian age, I think, to the space age or something like that. Is that much of a difference between? And this was apparently a fairly new F-150. It wasn't a 1954 model, type thing. But it's just the difference. And I like to liken it to going from a piston-powered airliner, like a DC-6B or something like that, and going into the jet age. It's just that much of a difference for people. If you have, of course, I imagine most of the people that are listening to us probably either own or have experienced it. So we're kind of in a way preaching to the gospel, to the choir here. But give people the opportunity to test them over a longer period of time, get them adjusted to the life cycle of owning an electric car, and I doubt they'll want to go back. They'll want to move over like this guy does. I don't know about the Cybertruck part, but hey, if that worked for him, good, fine.
I figured you were going to say he tried an F-150 Lightning.
No, it was a GAD. I checked on that because I thought, well, he's going from it's not a Lightning. It was conventional gasoline powered F-150.
Yeah, and maybe going from the Lightning to the Cybertruck, you might have different experience too, because most of your conventional car manufacturers try to make their EVs seem like conventional cars.
Right.
They're not trying to make it seem like a space age change to a Tesla.
Something you would be driving across the rolling plains of Mars.
Yeah. One of my friends swapped from a Porsche Cayenne SUV to a Model X, and she was like, it made my Cayenne seem like a hoopty, is what she said. It was so much more advanced.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I was talking about, Musk and his vision for cars being safer. Well, unfortunately, Tesla RoboTaxis crash way more than Waymo, despite human safety monitors.
Oh, I know. That was surprising to me. I saw that. I said, I got to put that one
Well,
up.
maybe this is more of an indictment of Austin, Texas drivers.
Well,
yeah, who knows? But, I live in Omaha and have never been in a car crash in the 11 years I've lived here. Okay. And whereas when I lived in Memphis, it was every couple of years. I mean, people hit me all the time. I've been ran into in left turn lanes. I've been ran into at stop signs.
Yeah.
I had that happen in Minnesota once too, though. I've been T-boned in intersections by people running red lights. Just crazy accidents in Memphis.
Yeah.
And then I moved here, and I did the research. Apparently, in Omaha, we have 1/5 the rate of accidents of Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
So, Memphis is one of the 2 worst cities in America.
Yes.
It and Albuquerque are the 2 worst cities in America.
Okay, there goes the sound again.
Oh no! Zoom out and zoom back. Anyways, Tesla RoboTaxis, the human safety monitors are involved in more crashes than Waymo's. Fully, it's you. Tesla's camera-only approach contrasts with Waymo's sensor-heavy strategy, raises serious questions about Tesla's approach to autonomy in complex urban environments, whether aggressive cost-cutting on sensors compromises safety. Anyways, Bill will be back. All right. Our next story. General Motors slashes nearly 3,300 EV production jobs amid a market slowdown. GM is cutting 1,200 jobs at a Detroit EV assembly plant and 550 at an Ultium battery facility in Tennessee. EV sales in October 25 were dropped just 5.2 market share after the federal tax credit expired September 30th. CEO Mary Barra said, "We're not going to overbuild, but insists EVs remain GM's North Star." Mixed signal, and she's giving mixed signals on commitment. Talking about General Motors.
Okay, yeah, my audio just dropped out again.
That's okay.
I have no idea why it's doing that.
Yeah, but it seems
weird.
Like you exit and come back in, and it works fine, right?
Yep. As soon as I exit, yep.
Technology, guys, technology. There should be an AI for that to fix.
Yeah, there probably is.
Well, yeah, fix our audio settings. Anyways,
so what were we talking about now? Sorry.
Well, the GM says it's slashing 3,300 EV production jobs. That's a huge number.
And there's an article I put up there on the 8. I think it's like 8. No, it's entitled "All of the Cars That Have Been Postponed or Killed by Car Makers," and it's a fairly lengthy list of EVs.
Don't know if that comes up in my list or not. All right, I got a Forbes article. Smart EV charging could save every U.S. household 10% on electric bills. Managed EV charging could reduce household electric bills by 10% by 2035. Turns millions of EVs into distributed grid resources through demand response. This is talking about like a vehicle to home type setup where people are energy arbitraging, essentially.
Kind of like a smart thermostat, maybe.
Yeah. So the car itself is basically free, plus, or your energy is basically free, plus you're cutting other bills. It turns millions of EVs into distributed grid resources through demand response. Yeah, well, that's a nice way for saying, vehicle to home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Let's see. All right, let's talk about Toyota. Toyota's solid-state battery dreams may actually come true. Toyota's still on track to launch its first solid-state battery EV within 2 to 3 years. Man, we're always hearing
it's kind of like fusion power. It's just around the corner.
Right.
I have heard them working on this. Oh God, at least 10 years now.
Yeah, man. When I explain the harsh realities of what's really going on in fusion to people, they're like, "Really?" Yeah. I'm not going to get into the explanation, but it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
Somebody's going to figure it out in the next couple of decades.
Maybe the 21st century. Well, it is the 21st century, aren't we? 22nd century.
Yeah, it'll be sooner than that. There's some smart people working on the problem. They can make a fusion reaction generate more energy than it takes to create. It just can't do it frequently enough, by a magnitude of 1,000.
Yes, right. It has to be every 3 times a second or something like that.
10 times.
10 times a second. Yeah.
Yeah. 10 times a second, and they've done it 10 times in 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're having multiple failed attempts every day.
But we have now video, or is it still photographs? I don't know which, of it taking place inside of the toroid, or whatever they call that thing.
I can't remember. It's a weird word.
Yeah.
I never figured out where that word came from. Yeah. It sounds like it came out of a video game, though, or something.
Or the video game was based on it. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Solid state promises lighter weight, more compact design, faster charging. GM also developing new lithium metal rich battery chemistry specifically for pickups and SUVs. And that's probably a good thing, because right now GM has this enormous batteries on their pickups, right?
Yeah.
And
they can go a long ways, but it takes a long time to recharge them too.
All right. You had an article on EV World about RIvian delivers 5,000 electric vans to Amazon in just 3 months.
Yeah, and a small number of those ended up going to Vancouver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
RIvian now has 35,000 electric vans in active service with Amazon. It's funny, and we still get people say, "Oh, it won't ever work in trucking or fleet management," or like, Amazon thinks they know what they're doing.
And their goal is 100,000 by, I think, 2030 or something like that.
Yeah, all from RIvian.
Yeah.
All from RIvian.
Yep.
And RIvian is now opening up sales to other commercial buyers. They're no longer Amazon exclusive. And one of the reasons they've been so tied into Amazon is Amazon owns approximately 16% of RIvian.
Yeah. And it's a good, steady customer,
Yeah.
Well, we only want 100,000 of your vehicles. Okay, where do I sign?
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. I like seeing things like that. It helps. It's one thing to get investment money from somebody, but if that party that's bringing the investment money can also be a customer, can help you expand your network. There's obviously, it makes those deals make way more sense than when it's just somebody handing you cash.
Yes.
And, so that's something always when looking to raise money for a project, always looking for somebody who it's not just they can write the check.
Skin in the game.
Yeah. They understand the space. And so it makes a lot more sense than trying to convince somebody who doesn't, why it's a good deal. Anyways, research reveals surprising results inside Tesla and BYD batteries. Tesla batteries have high energy density, modular design focused on performance, versus BYD's Blade battery, which has superior thermal stability and enhanced safety features. Now, China's mandated that they have to stop EV fires, period.
Yeah.
And
so that means getting away from basically cobalt.
is cobalt one of the key things?
Yeah, cobalt's one of the issues because it allows such higher energy density than what the iron phosphate batteries. So iron phosphates are far less prone to thermal runaway.
Right.
But they don't have the same energy density that you have. So you get more range, from a given battery size, but you also risk higher, potential of a thermal runaway. If you run over something, in the road and it punctures the safety pan under the battery pack and that type of thing.
I had lunch with somebody who's an engineer that's trying to bring a graphene-based solid-state battery, for EVs. And he's like, it can charge 50 times faster than the other. It's like, well, that's great, but you've got a couple of bottlenecks there. For starters, you got the charger determines.
You have to have a charger to be able to handle that current.
And the technology to go input it from the charger into the car has to exist to take it that fast too. Right. So you have to both have, we're talking about a lot of these batteries having 800-volt architecture now, and we have these charging setups,
350 kilowatt chargers, and
well, and now there's even over in China they've even built megawatt chargers.
Well,
where are you going to get that juice from? I mean, that's a lot of electrical juice you're putting into that car. And it's like, I don't care, you've got to have a car set up to handle it. There's just all these things that saying something could take energy 50 times faster. It's not just the battery.
No, it's not just the battery. And then, of course, the question is, what does that kind of charging end up doing to the life of the battery? Does it not make any difference, or does it, accelerate the shortened, I should say, the lifespan of the battery.
Well, so are you familiar with light speed computing or quantum computing? The idea
I know the name, but to be honest, it's
so the idea
over my head.
is that using less energy, you would transmit data and run processes at the speed of light in these systems. Of course, you can transmit data already over fiber optic in a similar way, right?
Right.
But the key piece is there's resistors and things like that are in electronics that are the hiccup.
That do what they do, resist.
Right. So the capability to have this type of computing exists, but with these incredible speeds. But the problem is there's other parts to the deal, right? It's kind of like we were talking about with fusion. They've successfully done fusion. The problem is you can't scale it to the point where it's practical yet. And this is the problem also with the quantum computing, is that they can't scale everything to handle.
I've seen some photographs of, I guess it's supposedly a quantum computer, and it looks like this thing, a huge chandelier hanging down with all of these, I guess they're fiber optic cables sort of dangling down from the ceiling with various rings, going down. I'm thinking, that's a computer?
Yeah, but like I said,
how do I get that on my desktop?
Yeah, but it's like a lot of these technologies exist, like what I'm talking about with the graphene batteries. The tech exists, but it's also, at the moment, to do it right, it's really expensive to make one of these graphene solid state batteries too. Right. But what I'm getting at is the tech exists, but you have to have everything else work. It's just like these guys with the 800 kilowatt chargers at Gravity, and I keep not booking him to come on the show and talk about this. There's not very many cars that can accept
that much current.
Accept that much current. There's only a couple of them out there, and I think there's some Hyundais and some Porsches that are the basic
Well,
ones that can
Porsche's
accept.
definitely. Hyundai, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing that the Hyundai has had this architecture that it's just a random company that happens to have this going on. Let's see. All right. So I had the guest on a couple of days ago about wireless charging. Well, we have another article about wireless EV charging goes mainstream for electric bus fleets. And I see this as a tougher one. Okay. Inductive wireless charging enables buses to charge while stopped or driving, eliminates range anxiety, and maximizes fleet uptime. The major challenge is high installation costs and lack of standardization across systems. Now, it says lack of standardization. According to Jeremy McCool, who was on, he was saying that a lot of, and because this was a big thing that Mike Herzog was questioning him on, was all of these standards. And he was spouting off all of the engineering standards, car manufacturing standards, all these other ones, where they've all agreed on all these specifics. And he gives all those specifics on the episode. I certainly didn't memorize them, but no, he could spout off all of the standards that are occurring to make this work. He said you can actually have a 12-inch gap between the sensor and the pavement.
Pretty wide, yeah. That would work for something like a bus, yeah, definitely.
Well, and he was giving the example of like a Class 8 tractor trailer that you could do this, because he said that they've used this for the Tesla semi. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he knows that this exists. So, we talked a little bit about a couple of stretches of road in the world that are trying to put wireless charging in the road. But, Jeremy was more talking, though, about, just parking spaces. I thought it was a really good episode. He really got deep into the weeds with Mike on the technology.
I'll download the audio and I'll put it on my phone and I'll listen to it while I'm walking this afternoon.
There you go. All right. Korean researchers develop self-stacking lithium electrode to prevent battery explosions. I hate when people use the word explosion, because the battery catching on fire is a sort of an explosion, but they don't actually explode. They just.
Well, I've seen some videos of, sure the heck look like an explosion to me. So I'm not sure if that's may have to do with the chemistry or there was something else going on underneath the car. But I've seen some videos out of China where, that looked like an explosion to me. So I don't know.
Well, new electrode design addresses dendrite formation, the main cause of lithium battery fires.
There's your problem. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. This article was from bioengineer.org. Self-stacking structure prevents internal short circuits, could dramatically improve EV battery safety and longevity. It's just another one of those things. Does this actually come to market? I always question that. There's lots of brilliant people out there with great ideas. Doesn't mean it's ever going to come to market. It's so hard to raise money for these good ideas that it is a challenge. I got this guy I need to have come on the show with this 3-wheel Trinova. Enclosed 3-wheeled motorcycle that can zip, where you can do the lane splitting, on a motorcycle. And he's out in California, and he's having a hard time raising money for his project. And he's talked about this a lot on LinkedIn, and people are all like kind of chiming in. It's tough. It is a tough world to go out.
Yeah, and I should do a follow-up at some time with I think his name's Danny Kim. He's the one that's working on the gyro stabilized 2-wheel enclosed. It's not a motorcycle. It's not a car, but it looks like, it's 2 wheels and a driver, a small seat behind it. And it uses a gyro stabilization system to keep it in balance. And I did an interview with him on site at his research facility in San Francisco. And he's still plugging away. But again, that's been, 10, 15, it's 15 years, probably close to 15 years now. He's been working on it.
Yeah. Well, and I look at the guy with the wireless charging. He's actually been at that for 14 years.
Yeah.
And they still don't have revenue. or at
Wouldn't.
least significant revenue.
Yep.
And but there's a lot of people who have a lot of faith in what he's doing. He doesn't have any problem raising money
Well, do you
to
know
do
that
that.
the original General Motors EV1,
Mhm.
right, launched in 1998, and was, sort of in fact, I recently heard one of the GM executives saying that there were, I think it was like 3 cars programs that we canceled that we should have never canceled. And one of those, of course, was the EV1. Well, the EV1 was inductively charged. It had a Hughes Electronics developed paddle about like this, and you would take that paddle and you would stick it in a slot in the nose of the car, and then
Mhm.
it would inductively pass the current, from the current, sort of the radio waves between the paddle and the receiver inside the car. So that's been around since at least the mid 1990s. That
Mhm.
inductive charging capability. They just decided, instead of putting a pad under the car, like your guest did, to just making it a paddle kind of a thing. You pick up and you pop into the car.
Well, there's been lots of ideas, I guess, on charging. One of the big things that I took away from the discussion with Jeremy was the idea is it's not that it's difficult to take a charger and plug it in. It's the fact that there's not one standard for that tool, and in the wireless charging, it's just one. And it's one of the things, like, I have both an Android and an Apple phone, and I use wireless charging because I don't have to worry about what plug fits,
Right, right.
and so it's
And I discovered that my Bolt actually has that in it. I
oh,
can just
nice.
I can just lay it down inside of a little tray, on the dash, and
Mhm.
it'll charge the phone. It's not real fast, but I would suppose on a long trip or something like that, I'd keep my phone charged up.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Um, let's see. Oh, my next article. Oh, nuclear energy had record output in 2024, but uncertainty looms for 2025. It's funny to hear these aggregated numbers for the whole year. Global nuclear generation hit a record of 2,677 terawatt hours. Of course, that's basically taking 365 times 24 times the actual amount, you
Right.
know. But a lot of this was largely due to China. 31 countries are now building reactors. The International Atomic Energy Agency projects 2.5 times capacity increase by 2050. I
Now,
bet
do you
it's
know
going to be
what
a lot more than that.
you know what that means?
What's that?
The cost of the uranium is going to go through the roof.
I am
Do you,
very aware of this.
do you know how much uranium we import into the United States?
All of it.
99.5%. 0.5% of the uranium we use in the United States comes from U.S. sources. The
Well,
rest of it comes from Australia, from Kazakhstan, another one of the stans. There's a third country, I can't remember which it is, and then we used to get a huge amount from Russia, and of course,
Russia.
that's all blocked
Yeah.
off by the embargo.
Do
So
you know what country is the number one refiner of uranium?
can't say that.
You actually said it. It's Kazakhstan.
Oh yeah, okay, Kazakhstan, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I always think of the movie Barat when I think of Kazakhstan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, and
But
I
that
still,
surprised me, because I thought, holy smoke, we've got. I knew a lot of it was coming from Russia because of a deal that was cut back during, I don't know, one of the previous administrations, whether Bush or Reagan or Carter or somebody or another,
Mhm.
that they would, we'd stop building so many nuclear weapons, and that left a lot of and we would reduce the stockpile, and so we were buying uranium from the Russians to reduce their uranium stock, their
Yeah,
weapons grade uranium.
a lot of their weapons grade uranium has been used to fuel reactors around the world for the last like 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been a big thing. Bipartisan support growing in the United States. Nuclear generated 18.2% of U.S. electricity in 24. It used to be a higher number than that, though. It used to be a bigger percentage than 18%.
Well, because we've slowly mothballed a lot of those plants.
Well, and at the same time, energy generation is increasing in the United States while nuclear is reducing.
Right. And most of that is coming from where?
Well, a mix of
wind and solar.
Yeah, wind and solar. And we've knocked coal down a whole lot over the last few years. I still get people all the time talking about how we're producing everything with coal. It's like, coal's only like 18 or 19% of U.S. electrical.
And used to be not that long ago, I think when I started doing EV World, it was up in the at least 40 or 50%.
Oh, yeah. Now, it's changed dramatically in the U.S. All right. Anyways, Bill, that was the extent of what I have for today.
Well, cool. Good stuff. And again, folks, please be sure to, use our resource on EV World, the website. There's all that we've discussed here and more.
Geez, I've noticed for the last week, we've been getting about 25,000 unique visitors a day.
About 25,000 unique visitors. And we're between, I think, the last few days, 170 to almost 200,000 page downloads a day.
Yeah, so it's nuts how much that keeps increasing.
Yep.
Anyways, all right. Well, folks, thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You'll have a good one.
Tuesday. All right.